Greetings, everyone. Greetings, greetings. We'll get started in just a moment. I want to give folks a chance to be able to transition from the main session to here. So we'll get started in just about a minute or so. In the meantime, I'll do an introduction for you all. My name is Quincy Jones. I am an assistant director in the Office of Undergraduate Admissions at UC Berkeley. That means that I'm one of the people who is fortunate enough to be able to read applications, make admissions decisions, do all that kind of good stuff. So I'm here to support you all a little bit today and share some information. And hopefully it'll be of help for you all. I hope folks have enjoyed the conference as a whole. And we're going to have a nice little check-in to wrap up here. So before I get started, I just want to open it up. Again, we all know we're not in a physical space together, but I want to give a brief moment for some community. So if you all are open to it, I would love to see folks put their name and high school into the chat, just so that we can see as a community who are the folks that are here with us. We already have over 200 folks that are here with us. So if you're open to doing that, please put those things. You can just put it as a question, and we'll just take a look at those to see who all is here amongst us. And if you give me one moment here. Awesome. We got some folks popping in. Go Bears. Awesome, awesome. We got someone from Savannah High School, Pittsburgh High School, Westminster. Awesome, awesome. We got folks from all over. Thank you all for being here. I truly, truly hope you've enjoyed the beginning of the conference this afternoon or this evening, wherever you may be joining us from. And again, go ahead and continue putting your names and schools in there. Truly, truly appreciate it. Appreciate the community that you all are sharing with us in this virtual space. So again, because we have a few folks, or a lot of folks now, we have over 300 people who joined a little bit after I did my introduction. Again, my name is Quincy Jones. I'm an assistant director in the Office of Undergraduate Admissions at UC Berkeley. I'm also an alum of UC Berkeley. I graduated in 2010. So today, what we are going to talk about in this session, we're going to talk a little bit about what you all can look forward to and how you can make the 11th grade work for you as you're thinking about and preparing to move on to a university, whether it be a UC, a CSU, where you're thinking about going to a private school, out of state, all those different type of things. I'm going to share with you all some tips, some tricks, some things to keep in mind that are likely to be helpful for you as you are figuring out how to best use your 11th grade year. So for time's sake, we'll go ahead and just get started. I want to run through a few of these things, and then we will address any questions that you all may have. So the first thing here, I just want to have everybody take a look at. This is how the UC system does reviews of applications for our freshman applicants. So if you're thinking about going to a UC and you're applying to a UC campus, we do what's called a holistic or a comprehensive review, which is a fancy way of saying that we look at everything that you're doing while you're in high school. It's very similar if you end up going the transfer route. Transfer is just, if a student, if you decide to go to a community college first and then come to a UC, we're looking at very, very similar things. But again, it is really just a matter of everything that you're doing while you're in school is important to us. How much are you challenging yourself in the classroom? How well are you doing in the classroom? Extracurriculars that you may be involved in. We'll talk a little bit as well in a moment about how that shifts a bit in the pandemic space that we're in. But all those different type of things, programs you're a part of, leadership in those spaces, all that stuff is super, super important for us as we are reviewing applications. And with that, with that in mind, there's really 4 things that you want to think about and that you want to keep in your mind as you're preparing, finishing out your 10th grade year, getting ready to think about 11th grade year. What are the things that you can do to really kind of make sure that you are setting yourself up for success in regards to figuring out where you want to go for a university? 4 quick points, and then we'll deal with any questions that you all may have. The first one, obviously, academics. These are universities. Berkeley is one of the top schools in the country. So academics is something that is going to be super, super important. But it's really about making a plan for yourself, right? Obviously, you want to get good grades. For the UC system, we are looking at your 10th and 11th grade A through G courses when we determine what your GPA is. So you obviously want to get good grades, but you also want to make sure that you're challenging yourself, right? Based on what's available to you at your high school. Whether it be your high school giving you AP courses, whether your high school has an IB program that you're looking into, whether you're thinking about doing community college courses, whatever it might be. Junior year is one of the main years where we like to see a big uptick in the rigor of your program, right? We know some schools don't really allow you to get into AP classes until junior year, or most IB programs don't really start until the 11th grade year, right? Or even if you've taken some IB courses already or AP courses already, what are ways that you can elevate that or continue that going into your junior year? So again, make sure you're challenging yourself and you're showing us as admissions readers that you are capable of handling the rigor of an academic program that we might have at our campus. You also want to make really strategic choices when you're making this plan, right? So you want to think about what are the things that can help you to be successful, right? So if you're thinking about AP classes, right? Think about it from the aspect of what are some subjects or areas that I really, really enjoy, either personally or something that I think I might want to do going forward in terms of a career, right? How can I try to prioritize getting into those courses so that I know I'm challenging myself and I'm doing well in these courses to give myself better preparation for whatever my next step or whatever my next set of plans are going to be, right? You should be able to have a conversation like that with your counselors to be able to see what your options are, what are the things you're thinking about, what are the majors you're considering, the schools you're considering, and really take some time to make sure that you're making a strategic plan for yourself in regards to academics so that, again, you're giving yourself the best shot to do well academically. The second thing, extracurricular activities, right? Extracurricular activities are a huge, huge part of what the UCs and most universities now are looking for. We're looking for students to be involved in one way or another. Obviously, we know that the coronavirus has had an impact on that and what those options look like and what being involved in those things look like. We know that, we recognize that. However, we still want you to think about what are the things that you're involved in. Right? What are the things that you're doing to spend your time outside the classroom? A lot of times when students think about extracurricular activities, they think very specifically about clubs or being in a leadership position in their school, right? But for us, when we talk about extracurricular activities, we don't put a box on that at all. Right. So anything can be a part of extracurricular activity. It can be things you're doing in school, or it can be things that are happening in your home. Right. If you are having to babysit or having to take care of younger siblings or nieces, nephews, cousins, things like that are very much leadership, very much extracurricular activities. If you're having to work, if you are a translator for your family, all of those things are roles and additional things that you're doing outside the classroom. And for us, we consider them extracurricular activities. We consider them to all be in the vein of this is how the student is spending their time outside the classroom. And all of that is important to us, right? So as you're going into your junior year, think again about what are the things that you're already doing, the things that you're a part of, the roles that you have in those spaces. Is there a way for you to get more involved? Is there a way for you to kind of step up your involvement as you're going into your senior year? Perhaps if you are a part of a club, you can think about, or your junior year rather, if you are a part of a club, you can think about running for office. Or if you have a particular interest, say you're really, really good at math, perhaps you have an option to be a math tutor for someone. Perhaps there's more things that you can or need to do around the house to help make sure that the home is running smoothly, right? Any and all of those type of things are important to us. They are a part of what we're looking for when we're looking at applications and a part of what we want you to highlight when you're talking about or when you're thinking about applying to a university. So keep those things in mind. Keep track of the things that you're involved in. Keep track of the things that you have the opportunities to take advantage of and find different ways to elevate yourself in those spaces, to take some time there to really build out your participation in those spaces. Next thing, exams. We'll just spend a little bit of time here. Hopefully you all have heard. If you have not, the UC is no longer requiring students to take the SAT or the ACT as a part of our admissions requirement. In fact, we are what is known as test blind. So we are not going to consider any standard SAT or ACT scores when we review applications. So you don't need to worry about that for us. But if you're thinking about other systems, they may still require you to take the SAT or the ACT. Those are things that you want to be thinking about for your junior year, right? Taking those exams and seeing if you like the score that you got, if you need to do maybe a little bit more preparation, all that different type of stuff is something that you still want to keep in mind depending on where it is you're thinking about applying. And for the UC schools, we still are going to accept AP exams or IB exams or subject exams, SAT subject exams. And again, with those, think strategically about it, right? What are some exams that you know you can do well on, or exams that you know are going to stand out for like an engineering major, right? In the UC systems, we love to see students that are going above and beyond in math and science if they're thinking about doing our engineering program. So be conscious of that as you're thinking about your classes, right? You're thinking about engineering, let's do some more math, let's do some more science to make sure that you are preparing yourself for that program, but also that you are showing off to the schools you're considering that, hey, I can handle this work, I can do this work, and I'm still interested in this space. And then the fourth thing, the last thing that we'll touch on before we open it up for questions is research, right? And this, I think, for me is a huge, huge part of this, because you all as students who want to continue your education and move on to college, you need to do some work here, right? You need to make sure that you are doing the research to find out what are the things that are important to you when you're thinking about a university and which universities have those things, right? So you're thinking about stuff like, do I want to go to school in California or out of state? And what are the different requirements that may come up there? Do I want to go to a school that has a big sports program, right? Whether you want to play or you just want to watch, right? I'm a big sports fan. A big part of me choosing Cal as a place to apply was Berkeley is a part of a Division I sports program. So I know I'm going to be able to be around that and be around that atmosphere. So if things like that are important to you, right? Academic options. If you know what your major is, or you think you know what you want to study in college, make sure that school, that university you're considering has that program. If you don't know what you want to study yet, and you know that you want to take some college classes and kind of figure it out, make sure you're looking at universities that have some of those liberal arts options, or have some of those options for you to be able to come in as undeclared, not knowing what you want to study yet, and figure it out on their campus. Right? Some schools are going to require that you know what your major is. They're going to ask you to have a major when you come in. But this is all information that you can find out. Demographics, what's the makeup of my campus? How many students of color are on my campus? How are students enjoying their time on campus, right? All that type of stuff. So you really want to take some time to say, what's important to me? What are the things that I want to make sure as I'm building this out? You're not necessarily going to know all of the things that are important yet. You're not necessarily going to know everything, but there are some key things that you should be thinking about that are going to be important for you to make sure that you're building out this list of schools that you're going to apply to, and that you are striving to make sure that you're going to be competitive and eligible for. You want to make sure that those schools are aligning with what you want and what you need from higher education. And then also scholarships. Right? There's all sorts of free money. You've probably heard folks say that over and over and over again, and it's true. All sorts of places you can talk with the folks in Puente. You can talk with the folks at your high schools. If any of you all are in schools that have like an EAOP program or an AVID program or a destination college type of program, programs like that, most of those advisors can talk you through scholarships and options as well that you want to look into. Because if you can get somebody else to pay for you to go to school, why not, right? And again, that's a part of research, right? The majority of scholarships that you're going to be applying to are scholarships that you're going to apply to in your senior year when you're applying to college. But junior year, you can be thinking about what are the things I want to look out for, what are deadlines, what are goals I need to hit in terms of GPA, in terms of community service hours, all that type of stuff. All those things are important for thinking about scholarships. So those are the 4 things that I have: academics, extracurricular activities, exams, and you doing your research to figure out which of these schools is going to best be able to serve me as a student. So that's what I have. Now, we're going to go to any questions that you all might have about things that I've talked about other stuff here. I see there's a few things here, so I'm going to just grab a few of these. We only have a few minutes left, but I'll try to answer as many of these questions as I can.
Quincy, you want me to ask them for you, or?
Sure, go ahead, Trey.
Cool. One of the questions here, they're asking, will we look at the years in school of coronavirus differently than we looked at the other school years?
That's a really good question. And it's yes and no is kind of the answer, right? So for folks in California, the UC system agreed to have, what term was that? It was spring of 2020. Some school, if the school gave you an option to do pass, not pass grades, will accept those pass, no pass grades as opposed to GPA grades. So that's one thing that's going to look a little bit different. But the way the UC application is set up is it's really set up based on you all sharing with us your context, right? So we're not going to make any assumptions about anything that may have happened or may have gone on or how Corona may have impacted you. We want you to share those things with us, right? So, if I was the president of Mesa or Puente at my school, and then Corona came and we were no longer able to be together anymore, this is what my presidency looks like in a space of Corona. Or if, say, for example, we've seen this a lot in applications we read through this year, students talking about the transition from being in school to being at home and their house not really being a place that is designed for them to learn, right? Perhaps there's 4 to 5 kids in the space now. Perhaps there's only a couple laptops to share, right? That sort of context is very, very important to us, but it's your job to share those things with us. It's your job to really talk us through what may have happened and the changes that impacted. So when I talk about, preparing things like thinking about extracurricular activities, you want to think about the impacts of Corona kind of in the same way, right? How did Corona have an impact on you personally? Right? Perhaps your family's financial situation changed. Perhaps your housing situation changed. Perhaps your health changed, right? All of that stuff is important, but it's up to you to share those things with us so that we can take them into consideration.
Thank you, sir. Another question. When applying to a school like Berkeley, what's going to make a student look competitive or stand out? Is it more academics or more extracurricular activities?
Great question. And it's all of those things, right? So I'll pull this slide back up again. And you can find this online, the UC comprehensive or holistic review factors. But it's all those things together, right? We are looking for well-rounded students who are doing well in the classroom and well outside the classroom as well, whatever that might look like for you, right? Again, maybe you're involved really heavily in your school. Maybe you have to work. Maybe you have a lot of home responsibilities. Maybe you started your own company. We're not looking for anything specific when we're talking about what we want. We're talking about we want students to be involved outside the classroom, but we want you to be involved. We want you to share those things with us, and all that stuff is just as important as you doing well in the classroom.
Thank you. Thank you. Another question. Is it better for students to go to a community college first and then transfer, or apply to a school like Berkeley straight out of high school?
So that's a great question, and it's totally up to you. Right, I'm a huge advocate for the transfer process. The transfer process is definitely one that gives students a bit of a different option, right? Sometimes it can be cheaper to go to community college. We work with a lot of students who, for one reason or another, high school just wasn't really the place for them. And then community college kind of allowed them to get a bit of a proper start in terms of preparing to go to university. So that's very, very much an option. But if you are a student who's in high school, who is doing well, you're doing well in your classes, you're challenging yourself, you're doing those extracurriculars, and you feel that you're ready to go straight to a 4-year, apply. We're admitting students from high school and from community colleges every single year. And it's really kind of up to you to take some time and to think about which one of these options is going to be best for me. Because both are great options. Both are options that can get you to a Berkeley degree. And we are going to champion you as an alumni, no matter where it is that you might come from.
Thank you. Got it. Time for a couple more. Another question is, what is the process for applying for scholarships?
Oh, great question. So there's multiple ones, right? In terms of the UC system, when you apply to the UC system, as long as you have filled out the FAFSA or the DREAM Act, which is something that if you don't know about it yet, you'll learn about that a bit. You'll learn about that a bit more in your 11th and your 12th grade years, because you can't fill it out until you're a senior. But those are essentially the national financial aid documents. So as long as you fill those out when you apply to the UC schools, you're applying to all of our scholarships. For outside scholarships, they're going to have their own different requirements and things like that. And it's really a matter of you just figuring out what those requirements are, right? Most of them will have some form of like an application and essay that you'll need to submit. But again, you can find that stuff. You can Google scholarships, literally just Google the word scholarships to find some. Or like I said, talk to the folks from Puente, talk to the counselors at your high school, AVID programs, any and all that kind of stuff are places where you can go to try to get some more information about scholarships, because there's thousands of them out there.
Thanks. Two more. How does taking AP classes benefit us in the application process?
Great question. So again, one of the things that we're considering, and this is for the UC system as well as most universities, we're looking for rigor, right? We're looking to see that you have challenged yourself with the curriculum that is available to you, right? So that's really how it's going to be helpful in the main sense. One, you're going to be taking classes that are a bit harder, which are the AP or the IB classes. So you're preparing yourself better for the jump that happens when you get to university coursework. Two, we like to see it in terms of the rigor, because again, we know that you're challenging yourself a bit more. And then the third thing is also the option for you to do AP exams should you choose to. And that can also be a way for you to get college credit towards you being able to graduate a bit sooner. So definitely look into those challenging courses, whether it be AP courses, IB courses, or if your school has like dual enrollment or has a program for you to take community college courses, all of those things, consider them and figure out, again, what is the best option for you and your educational journey.
Thank you. Very last question. How was your experience at UC Berkeley?
Oh, what a great question to end on. It was great. You know, I came to Berkeley right out of high school, and I very, very much grew up at Berkeley. You know, even as a student, it was a very enlightening experience in terms of me being able to spend time around folks from different communities. Right. You know, the first time I'd ever met folks who were Native American was when I was at Berkeley. The first time I was ever really kind of in a space to have positive interactions with the Latinx community kind of in the educational space happened at Berkeley. I met folks from all sorts of different countries when I was at Berkeley. So all of that stuff is kind of an eye-opening experience for me. And for any student, when you're thinking about going to higher ed. And then, you know, there's challenging moments as well. You know what I mean? Not everybody at Berkeley is a really, really large school. So not everybody at Berkeley is necessarily as open to difference as you would like. But that's the real world. You know, that's kind of the way that it goes. Everybody's not always going to see things the way that you see them. Everybody's not always going to be as open-minded as you are, is going to think about things in the way that you do. But learning how and when to interact with those folks who have different experiences or different thoughts about things is also something that's really, really important, and something that I was able to benefit from a lot from my time as a student. So overall, I have very much enjoyed my time at Berkeley as both a student as well as a staff member on campus now. So I think that is time. We are just a couple minutes over, so I want to thank you all for your time, for being here, for spending this time with us again. I hope that the conference this year has been helpful for you all, has been motivational, has given you some good information to be able to chew on as you all are preparing to finish out this 10th grade year and move into the junior year. Knock on wood, hopefully we'll be in a space where we can all gather amongst each other safely again very, very soon. And you'll be able to see folks from Berkeley at your school. You'll be able to come to Berkeley, and we'll do all the fun in-person stuff that we really, really love and we want to get back to. And in the meantime, again, thank you all for your time. Thank you all for being here. Everyone that was here, as Ruben mentioned in the main session, there will be raffles that are going to take place a bit later. So the folks who have been here and have stayed here, thank you all. You all going to be entered in the raffle. And one of the coordinators is going to reach out to you very, very soon to ask you for a little bit more information there so we can send you out the prize from this session. And yeah, that's what I have for you all. Thank you all for your time. I hope this was helpful. Please take care of yourselves, take care of your families. I wish you all the best of luck as you're finishing out this year. And as always, go Bears.
Good job. Good job. Thank you, sir.